I was sitting on the floor, leaning against the cold wall, staring into the dark. There was a cup of cold coffee next to me, untouched. The room was silent. Even the clock had stopped, as if the world decided to give me time to realize how everything had fallen apart. My phone lay beside me, screen glowing with her name, Sophie. I'd thought about deleting that contact 100 times, but every time my finger froze above the button. Deleting it would mean admitting it was really over. It's been 3 days since I found out the truth. 3 long days that felt like 3 lifetimes. I haven't left my room, haven't answered any calls. All I do is replay that moment in my head again and again. That night, I just wanted to talk. We'd fought a few days earlier over something small, she said. I'd become too jealous. Maybe she was right. But when you love someone, it's hard not to be jealous. I went to her dorm room without telling her. The door was slightly open. I remember the smell of her perfume, the soft glow of her lamp, and then the voices. 2 of them. Hers, soft, nervous. His, low, teasing. I held the door handle when I heard her say, "Ryan, if Ethan finds out." Then silence. Then her laugh. My best friend. My girlfriend. 2 people I trusted more than myself. I don't remember how I walked away. I don't remember how I ended up outside. Just the cold wind, the noise of the street, and the feeling that someone had ripped my heart out of my chest. Now my room is a mess. Books everywhere, a shirt on the floor, and me just sitting here staring into nothing. There's a photo on the wall. The 3 of us, smiling, on the university field. I try not to look, but my eyes keep going back to it. I don't know what hurts more, the pain or the anger. She betrayed me. He betrayed me. And I'm the one left alone in a room where even the air feels heavy. And the worst part, a piece of me still loves her. I still remember the day I first saw Sophie. It was autumn, first semester at the University of Chicago, when the air smells like coffee, rain, and hope. She was standing outside the library with a book in her hands, trying to hold on to a stack of papers the wind kept snatching away. I walked over to help, and we both laughed when one of the sheets stuck to my face. It felt like something straight out of a movie. She had this habit of tucking her hair behind her ear whenever she was nervous, and I noticed it from the very first minute. We started talking. She was studying psychology. I was majoring in journalism. She believed in fate. I believed in logic. But something clicked between us. I could almost feel it. We started seeing each other almost every day, coffee before lectures, walks after class, endless talks about who we wanted to become. She dreamed of writing books, but was afraid no one would read them. I told her the whole world would. Then Ryan showed up in our lives. He was my roommate, the perfect guy in every way, charismatic, funny, confident. Everyone loved him, professors, girls, even the dorm security guard. He was everything I wasn't. I introduced them by accident. One evening, we were sitting in the campus cafe, and Ryan walked in, joking that I looked like a guy writing poems about a girl who never texts back. Sophie laughed, and that was the first time I felt something strange, like a spark between them. But I ignored it. We became inseparable, the 3 of us. Nights on the dorm roof, movies, late-night pizza runs. Sometimes Sophie and Ryan argued about random things, but they always ended up laughing. I thought it was harmless. I was wrong. Sometimes I caught him looking at her. Not for long, not obvious, but real. The kind of look a friend isn't supposed to have. And when I once told him, "You look at her like you're in love," he just smiled and said, "Maybe you're just too paranoid, man." I didn't know then he was right. The first cracks appeared quietly. At first, it was small things, short messages Sophie took hours to reply to, or her sudden, "I'm tired. Let's talk tomorrow." I blamed it on classes, on stress, on the weather. But deep down, I knew something was off. She was different. Her laughter came less often, and her eyes, they were always somewhere else. When I asked what was wrong, she said, "Just a lot going on. Don't worry, okay?" And I didn't. I should have. Ryan started showing up more often. He'd drop by the dorm, just for a minute, bring her coffee before class, help her with assignments. I saw how she smiled at him, the same way she used to smile at me. But I refused to believe it. One evening, we were having dinner together in the campus cafe. I joked that Ryan probably spent more time with her than I did. She didn't laugh. She just looked at me coldly and said, "You've become so suspicious lately." We argued. For the first time, really argued. She stood up and left without saying goodbye. I watched her walk away through the crowd of students. And all I could hear in my head was one thought: "You're losing her." Later that night, I saw her story. She and Ryan were laughing together in a coffee shop, the same one we used to go to. He was holding her phone, and she was looking straight into the camera. Her smile, so genuine, so familiar, but not for me. I didn't text her for 2 days. I wanted her to reach out first. But when she finally called, her voice was soft and distant. "We need to talk," she said, and something inside me turned cold. She didn't say, "We need to see each other." She didn't say, "I miss you." Just talk. That was the beginning of the end. She texted me, saying she wanted to meet at the cafe near campus. The same one where we first sat together after class, where I first held her hand. Walking there felt strange, like déjà vu. Only this time I knew the ending would be different. Sophie was already sitting by the window. She looked tired, but still so beautiful it hurt to look at her. When I approached, she smiled, briefly, politely. Not the smile that used to make my whole day. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey," I replied, sitting across from her. "You said you wanted to talk." She nodded but stayed silent for a long time, stirring her coffee. Then she sighed. "Ethan, I think we need to take some time apart." The words hit like a knife. "What do you mean?" I tried to smile, even though my chest was tightening. I'm confused. About me, about us. I don't know what I want anymore." I looked at her, trying to read her face. But her eyes avoided mine. "Is there someone else?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. She froze. Her fingers trembled. She tried to speak, but all she said was, "It doesn't matter. I just need some space." I laughed, bitterly. Space. The classic excuse. You say you don't know what you want, but I can see that you do. You just don't want to admit it. She lowered her gaze. That's when I saw it. The bracelet on her wrist. The same one I'd seen on Ryan's wrist a week ago. It felt like being doused in ice water. "Is that his?" I whispered. She didn't answer. The silence said everything. I stood up. I couldn't stay there any longer. The cafe suddenly felt suffocating. People around were laughing, talking, sipping their lattes, as if my world hadn't just fallen apart right in front of them. "I hoped you'd tell me the truth," I said quietly. "But I guess the truth doesn't mean much to you anymore." And I walked away. Didn't look back. But God, if she had called out stay, I would have stayed. After that meeting, I stopped being myself. Days melted into one another like ink in water. I stopped going to classes, stopped replying to texts, even ignored calls from my parents. The world had shrunk to the size of my room. 4 walls, a dim lamp, and a coffee cup I hadn't washed in a week. I tried not to think about her, but everything reminded me of Sophie. Her favorite playlist randomly started playing on Spotify. Her scent lingered on my hoodie. Her photo on my laptop, smiling, sunglasses on, looking like happiness itself. I tried deleting everything connected to her. I couldn't. When you truly love someone, even the smallest thing can break you all over again. At night, I walked through campus. Leaves rustled under my feet, and the air smelled like autumn, the same autumn when everything began. And every step felt like a betrayal of our memories. Then one night, I saw them. By accident. They were walking down the same street, hand in hand. She was laughing, laughing, the way she hadn't with me for a long time. He looked at her like he had always known she'd be his. I don't remember how I got home. I just remember sitting on the floor and laughing. Not because it was funny, but because my brain couldn't handle it anymore. It was that kind of laugh that comes right before you break down completely. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. Red eyes, hollow cheeks, voice gone. And then something new took over me. Not pain, not sadness, anger. Raw, dark, burning anger. Not at her, not at him, at myself, for letting them turn me into a shadow. Almost 2 months had passed. Autumn was fading, leaves covered the campus paths. And for the first time, I felt like I could breathe again. Not fully, but enough not to drown in memories. I started small, went back to lectures, got a haircut, even joined the gym. It sounds cliché, but when you lose everything, even the smallest change feels like control. And I think I was getting better. I started laughing again, real laughter, not the kind that hides pain. I made new friends, met a girl from my class, Hannah. She was kind, simple, unfiltered, like fresh air after a storm. She didn't ask about my past, and I didn't tell her, but something inside me still stirred, like a scar that keeps itching long after it heals. I thought I could erase Sophie from my life, but fate, apparently, had other plans. One evening, I was in the library studying for an exam when I heard a familiar laugh. I didn't even need to look up. I'd know that sound anywhere. She was standing by the shelf, holding a book. Ryan was beside her, wearing that same smug smile. My heart froze. I didn't know whether to get up and leave or pretend I hadn't seen them. But they saw me first. "Ethan," she said. Her voice sounded surprised, not guilty. "Hey," I replied, trying to sound casual. Ryan grinned. That same confident, self-satisfied expression. "Long time no see, man," he said, as if nothing had ever happened. I just nodded. They looked happy. Maybe they really were. When they left, I sat there for a long time, staring into the space between the lines of my textbook. I thought I had healed, but that one brief moment tore everything open again. That night I realized something. You can delete the photos, burn the memories, erase the number, but you can't escape what still lives inside you. After that encounter in the library, something inside me shifted. I realized I had two choices: keep living in the past or fight for myself. And this time, I chose the fight. I started working on myself. My grades improved. I wrote articles for the university paper, even landed an internship at a local magazine. Every morning, I'd wake up early, run along the river, listen to music, and tell myself that pain was just another form of energy, one I could turn into strength. I stopped checking her social media, stopped wondering about her and Ryan. I didn't care anymore. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. And for a while, it worked. Until that night. I was walking back from the library when I saw someone sitting on a bench near the dorms. A girl in a dark coat, brown hair falling over her face, scrolling through her phone. My heart dropped when I recognized her. "Sophie." My voice cracked. She looked up. Same eyes, only sadder. "Hey, Ethan. Can we talk for a minute?" I hesitated. Every part of me screamed no, but my feet moved on their own. "What are you doing here?" I asked finally. "I just wanted to see you. To talk." I stayed silent. She looked down, then quietly said, "Ryan and I aren't together anymore." My heart did something strange, not beat, but stop. I didn't know what to feel: relief, anger, regret. It all mixed into one storm. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. "Because I've been thinking about you a lot, and I think I made a huge mistake." She smiled, barely, but sincerely. And that was enough to undo everything. Every night, every scar, every ounce of healing I'd fought for, gone in a heartbeat. I felt the old feelings surge back like a wave. And with them, fear. Because deep down I knew, if I let her back in, she might destroy me completely this time. We started talking again. Not like before, not with the same ease. But every message from her felt like warmth sneaking into the cold. At first, it was small talk. "How are you? Did you see that new movie? Do you still drink that cinnamon coffee?" Then it became late-night conversations. About everything. About nothing. I tried to keep my distance. I really did. But with each day, she found her way back into my life. Carefully, step by step. And I let her. One evening, we sat on the dorm rooftop. The same one where we used to laugh, the three of us. The wind moved through her hair, and the city lights painted the night in gold. "Ethan," she said softly, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know. Back then, I didn't know what I wanted. And now?" I asked. She looked at me, long, steady, and I saw that spark again. The one I thought I'd never see. "I think I do now," she whispered. Silence. And in that silence, everything spoke. She touched my hand. That touch, familiar, forbidden, made my heart stumble. I didn't pull away. I couldn't. The next day, everything felt different. She was smiling, texting, laughing, and I found myself waiting for her messages again, like nothing had ever happened. Like the betrayal, the pain, the silence never existed. And then, him. I was leaving campus when I heard a voice behind me. "Hey, Ethan. Long time." I turned. Ryan. Same smirk. Same confidence, but something darker in his eyes this time. "Heard you've been seeing her again," he said, stepping closer. "So what?" I forced my tone to stay calm. "Just weird," he said. "She told me she wanted to move on." My fists clenched. "Why, Ryan?" "You here to remind her who she belongs to." He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Just making sure you're not making another mistake." His words hung in the air, venomous. I watched him walk away, and something inside me shifted. This wasn't over. Not for any of us. After that talk with Ryan, I couldn't calm down. His words kept looping in my head like a broken record. "Don't do anything stupid. I knew exactly what he meant, and I knew he wasn't going to let her go easily. The next day, Sophie texted, "Can we meet tonight?" We met in the park near campus. It was chilly, the streetlights threw long shadows, and there was something uneasy in her eyes. "Did Ryan come to see you?" she asked, skipping the greeting. "Yeah," I said. "Doesn't look too happy about us talking again." She looked down. "He's changed. After we broke up. Keeps calling, texting, showing up without warning. Once he even waited for me outside the dorm." Anger burned through me. "And you didn't tell me?" "I didn't want to drag you into it," she whispered. "But I think now he's just mad I moved on." We sat there in silence. Her hands trembled slightly. And that's when I realized this wasn't just jealousy. It was something darker. The next day, I saw him again. In the parking lot near the dorms. He was leaning against his car, waiting. "We need to talk," he said as I walked up. "I've got nothing to say to you," I replied. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think she chose you? She doesn't even know what she wants." "She never did." "That's none of your business, Ryan." "Oh, but it is," he said, pulling out his phone. "Because she still texts me." On the screen, her message, "I'm sorry it ended like this." A wave of rage hit me. "You just can't accept it, can you?" "And you can?" His eyes were sharp, almost cruel. "You really think love's some kind of game where someone wins?" I didn't answer. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne. "She was never yours, Ethan. She never will be." I don't remember who threw the first punch. All I remember is the sound, dull, real, final. And his eyes, furious, but empty. When I walked away, my hands were shaking. Not from pain, but from the realization that I'd become exactly what I swore I'd never be. Someone who let love turn into a war. A few weeks passed after that night. Everything went quiet. No one talked about the fight anymore. Even Ryan disappeared, transferred to another campus. Or maybe just ran from everything. Sophie texted only once. "I hope you're okay." I didn't reply, because, for the first time in a long while, I truly didn't care. I thought a lot. About her. About him. About me. I used to think love was a battle, something you had to win or lose. But maybe it isn't. Maybe love isn't about holding on. Maybe it's about learning how to let go. I started writing again. At first, just fragments, scattered thoughts, lines without sense. But slowly, they formed a story. My story. No heroes, no villains. Just people, trying to love, trying to grow, trying to forgive themselves. Sometimes, passing by that same cafe, I'd see her. Sophie would sit by the window, a book in her hands. Sunlight catching in her hair, turning it gold. Our eyes would meet. She'd give a small nod. And for the first time, I'd smile back. No pain. No bitterness. Just peace. Maybe we both did what we had to do. We broke each other so we could rebuild ourselves. Now I understand something. Every wound, every heartbreak, every night I thought I'd never recover, it all became part of me. And even if love doesn't always last forever, it leaves a trace. One that says, I lived, I felt, I changed. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.